The Ingenious Gentleman, Don Quixote of La Mancha. Written by Miguel de Cervantes, and published in 1605. The following is a book preview, featuring quotes from the early part of the work. Somewhere in La Mancha, in a place whose name I do not care to remember, a gentleman lived not long ago, one of those who has a lance and ancient shield on a shelf. Let it be said that this aforementioned gentleman spent his times of leisure, which meant most of the year, reading books of chivalry, with so much devotion and enthusiasm that he forgot almost completely about the hunt and even about the administration of his estate. Our gentleman became so caught up in reading that he spent his nights reading from dusk till dawn, and his days reading from sunrise to sunset, and so with too little sleep and too much reading, his brains dried up, causing him to lose his mind. The truth is that when his mind was completely gone, he had the strangest thought any lunatic in the world ever had, which was that it seemed reasonable and necessary to him, both for the sake of his honor and as a service to the nation, to become a knight-errant, and travel the world with his armor and his horse to seek adventures and engage in everything he had read that knights-errant engaged in, righting all manner of wrongs, and, by seizing the opportunity and placing himself in danger and ending those wrongs, winning eternal renown and everlasting fame. He spent 4 days thinking about the name he would give his horse, for, as he told himself, it was not seemly that the horse of so famous a knight, and a steed so intrinsically excellent, should not have a worthy name. He finally decided to call the horse Rocinante, a name, in his opinion, that was noble, sonorous, and reflective of what it had been when it was a nag, before it was what it was now, which was the foremost nag in all the world. Having given a name, and one so much to his liking, to his horse, he wanted to give one to himself, and he spent another 8 days pondering this. And at last he called himself Don Quixote. Having cleaned his armor and made a full helmet out of a simple headpiece, and having given a name to his horse and decided on one for himself, he realized that the only thing left for him to do was to find a lady to love. For the knight-errant without a lady love was a tree without leaves or fruit, a body without a soul. He decided to call her Dulcinea of Toboso, because she came from Toboso, a name, to his mind, that was musical and beautiful and filled with significance, as were all the others he had given to himself and everything pertaining to him. And so, having completed these preparations, he did not wish to wait any longer to put his thought into effect, impelled by the great need in the world that he believed was caused by his delay. For there were evils to undo, wrongs to right, injustices to correct, abuses to ameliorate, and offenses to rectify. And one morning before dawn on a hot day in July, without informing a single person of his intentions, and without anyone seeing him, he armed himself with all his armor and mounted Rocinante, wearing his poorly constructed helmet. And he grasped his shield and took up his lance, and through the side door of a corral he rode out into the countryside with great joy and delight at seeing how easily he had given a beginning to his virtuous desire. But as soon as he found himself in the countryside, he was assailed by a thought so terrible it almost made him abandon the enterprise he had barely begun. He recalled that he had not been dubbed a knight. These thoughts made him waver in his purpose. But, his madness being stronger than any other faculty, he resolved to have himself dubbed a knight by the first person he met, in imitation of many others who had done the same, as he had read in the books that had brought him to this state. He rode almost all that day, and nothing worthy of note happened to him, which caused him to despair because he wanted an immediate encounter with someone on whom to test the valor of his mighty arm. The fact is that he rode all that day, and at dusk he and his horse found themselves exhausted and half dead with hunger. as he looked all around to see if he could find some castle or a sheepfold with shepherds where he might take shelter and alleviate his great hunger and need, he saw an inn not far from the path he was traveling. As soon as he saw the inn, it appeared to him to be a castle complete with 4 towers and spires of gleaming silver. This was an introduction to Don Quixote. Please see the video description for links to the full work. And, of course, don't forget to subscribe for more book previews like this one. Thank you for watching, and enjoy your reading.